Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a look at our DBQ again. We're going to look at the first body paragraph. You'll know I'm really stepping it up on these videos now with a little music from the Alamo Mexican-American War. So we'll turn that off in just a minute, though. So yesterday we took a look at the introduction, and hopefully you've got that ready to go. They were looking quite well yesterday. So let's go ahead and let's get started taking a look at our body paragraph. The first body paragraph, we're on the form right now, so if I'm just reminding you, we're here. Yesterday we did this, and you wrote your introduction, and so today we're here on the first body paragraph. The first thing that we want to take a look at is the topic sentence, and it says the first argument which ties back to the thesis. We always want to make sure each of our arguments are tying back to the thesis, whether you said the war with Mexico was justified or whether you said it was not justified. So you always want your topic sentences to kind of tie back to that. Here we go. Here is my topic sentence. The major reason why the war with Mexico was justified, this is tying back to my thesis, is because Mexico attacked the United States on U.S. soil. All right, so this is my first reason. If I were to go back to my buckets or to my, right here, I don't have it filled out on this form. It's one of my reasons. It's my first reason. Or I should have listed it in my roadmap. All right, and in here, I'm doing the opposite side on this one, but in my roadmap, it should be the first thing that I have listed here. We can't have a body paragraph without having evidence. So when we say this, we're just like attorneys, we've got to make sure that we've actually got support and evidence. And where, you might ask, are we going to get that evidence from? Well, a couple of places. Number one, the documents. So we're looking at the documents. You know what I'm talking about in terms of documents right here. We did document A, B, C, D. So right along in here. You can also use this background essay, and this one, I think it's really important too. If you want to use the hook, this map, this would be a great thing for you to use in terms of evidence. Now, whether or not your history teacher counts that as a document or not, I don't know, but you can use those as some evidence. All right, then let's go back here. This is what I found when I was looking. So I want to find some things that talks about Mexico attacking on U.S. soil. So I knew right where to go. President Polk's war message in document B. And I actually found the actual phrase that talks about this. It said, Mexico has passed the boundary of the United States, has invaded our territory, and shed American blood upon American soil. So I'm actually going to use that when I start writing my paragraph. Then I have another one here. This one I'm probably actually don't want to have here. I'm going to probably find a better one. I'm actually going to use the map that was in the hook, and this little section is really good right here. It says on April 25th, 1846, Captain Seth Thornton of the U.S. Army and his 70 soldiers were attacked by a much larger Mexican force. I'm probably going to leave out this part about it being disputed territory because I want to make it seem like, you know, we were on our land for sure. All right, so I would go ahead then and I would take that, and I can't copy and paste that right now, but what I would do there is I would go ahead and put down that I'm using the hook, and then I would go ahead and type that information in here. All right. Now, the next thing that you'll notice on here, it says outside information. You need to have some specific examples, some details that you get from watching a video, from reading an article. Some of those things are on Moodle, or you can just Google the Mexican-American War. If you do that, you should Google causes, because that's what you actually really want to, look at. And I did that. A couple of things that I found. This one I found. Now, if I was going to take the opposite side, notice that this is from MexicanHistory.org, and then here I have the Thornton Affair right here. When I actually read this, it's kind of interesting because it sounds like the U.S. Army was kind of sent out to look around, and that's how they came upon some of the Mexicans. And so it's not quite the picture that we have of the Mexicans just simply attacking them. Our soldiers had gone out and were looking around, and then they kind of came upon some of the Mexican soldiers. So if I was doing the other side, I might actually take some information from right here. I am saying that it was, that it was the Mexicans who fired upon the Americans. And so one thing that I was reading is that I was reading here, it says in late March 1846, the U.S. Army began to take up positions on the northern side of the Rio Grande. In response, the Paredes government, having taken power at the beginning of the year, ordered General Mariano Arista, commander of the Army of the North, to attack the U.S. force. So that's a little different than, that they're just sitting there. This way it really makes it sound like the Mexican Army was supposed to attack the U.S. forces. So I'm going to just copy that, because I can copy this. And I'm going to put it in here, get my in there. Now, one thing, just a point that I want to make is that I can't just copy this. I'm going to have to kind of put this in my own words when I do that. And I'm going to, let me just go back here and look at that. A continent divided. I'm just going to put that title in there because we always want to give credit. So I'm going to put article, a continent. I have a little trouble here with my typing. And so then I have, and I'll have to get that other one in here, but then I have a lot of evidence right here that I can use to support this. I've got to kind of mix it in. I've got to make sure that when I'm doing my quotes, I'm going to want to scroll back up to this picture of the sandwich. And I will want to make sure that I lead in. I'm going to want to make sure I tell that President Polk in an address to Congress. And then I'm going to put the quote, blah, blah, blah. And then I can follow up. I can say that this quote shows that President, Polk, and I can, make a comment on that. So you do want to make sure you're sandwiching your evidence or your quote. So one other thing that I want to show you about the body paragraph, you need to, once or twice, depending on what grade you're going for, you need to show us that you can use the tools of a historian. That's historical thinking. And we just basically chose 4 different areas that really seem to work with this DBQ: cause and effect, looking at the causes and the effects, through their eyes, looking at history through the eyes of the people from the time period, not modern times. Turning points, why did this event drastically change things? And then differing perspectives. Again, obviously there's different viewpoints on this. I think that I'm going to try and use cause and effect. Obviously, if I'm talking about the start of the war, I could definitely explain that the Mexicans firing upon the Americans, caused United States to fire back and to get involved in a war. And so I'm going to use that one, I think, in this body paragraph. You don't, again, have to use one of these in every paragraph. So I'm going to cause, and I'm using those actual words, if you can see that. I'm going to make this a little shorter here so I can type a little. The direct, I'm going to use the word direct cause, the Mexican-American War was the Mexican Army firing upon U.S. soldiers. And then I would like to kind of get the word effect in there. This had the effect. The effect of, let's put that down. So I'm using the word effect. President Polk giving or sending message to Congress. President Polk sending a warm message to Congress. Actually, he was giving it to them anyway, but this just gave him even more ammunition to Congress. So what we see here is I'm using the word cause. Isn't that beautiful? And effect. And again, what I'm trying to do is use the words of a historian. Now, I'm just going to look at one more here. Turning point would be, because obviously the Mexican-American War was a huge turning point for the United States and, of course, for Mexico. They lost quite a bit of land. We gained a lot of land. This would be great to put in your conclusion. Excellent to put in your conclusion. Differing perspectives. You can certainly, if you're going to refute someone's argument, you could use this. And through their eyes. I think when we look at manifest destiny, today we look at manifest destiny and we go, wow, did they really believe that? Wow. And I think that, again, we have to look at it from the eyes of the people then. So let's just scroll back down here. And so we've got, this is our body paragraph 1. What you're going to need to do now is actually put this right here. Make sure you indent. Put this in your own words. Keep the quotes, of course, and sandwich them. You can use some thinking like a historian phrase if you want. You don't have to use one in every paragraph. But go ahead and write your body paragraph. And this is what you want to try and get done today so that you can get this checked off. You guys are doing an awesome job of writing lately. Very impressive.